I really thank you guys for being my patrons, because without your support, I wouldn't be able to do this and go out and spread barbecue love into the world. So I want to thank you guys all from the bottom of my heart. I thought what we do today is maybe do two things, right? Do a cook and do a Q&A. Start by asking if anybody has any burning questions. Get it, burning questions, and then if not, we can start to cook. Just a quick overview, what we're gonna do today. We're gonna show you guys how to make some smoked peach tea ribs. I have a spare rib, so I'll also throw in a bonus lesson on how I trim the spare rib into a St. Louis rib. There's 6 steps. I'll kind of walk you through the 6 steps. I'll show you guys how to trim, smear, rub, cook, wrap, prepare the rib until it's done, and then how to glaze it and how to enjoy it. So we're gonna try to do some eating on camera. And Catherine, you got a question?
Yeah, 2 questions. Which type of rib do you prefer, St. Louis or baby back? And question number 2, do you always finish them in the oven to conserve your BTUs on the grill?
Question number 2, I'll answer question number 2. You guys know I'm very cost efficient and process efficient, aka cheap and lazy. So I I usually chuck my ribs in the oven, and I have a very old GE oven that's 30 years old, and I just leave the timer on. So I know, like, for example, if I chuck my ribs in the oven, I set the timer for 1 hour and 20 minutes. You'll turn this stuff off, and I'm fine. If it's a brisket, it takes about 220. So I'll set the oven for 220 at 275, and I basically let it sit in the oven. So I'm one of those very lazy people. I will tell you a big secret. In the restaurant, that's what they do. They just don't tell you that. So all the romanticism about wrapping the meat and putting it back into the cooler, the smoker, running more wood, and Lincoln logging the wood, and checking for every piece of post oak that you put in there. I have to kind of admit to you that the true fact is that restaurants run based on a operating budget, and you're paying a lot for labor. I think at least $20 over an hour with additives and overhead. So that's also done in quite a number of barbecue restaurants, which I will not name, okay, to protect the innocent. Does that answer your question? Now, the second question is, what do I prefer? The answer is, I'll tell you what my students prefer. Having taught so many classes, usually the ratio is 1/3 and 2/3. That's the ratio of preference. So 1/3 will prefer baby backs, which are loin backs, and 2/3 will like the spare rib or St. Louis. So that's kind of the ratio. In competition, a lot of teams like to turn in the St. Louis. That's why I'm doing the St. Louis stream this morning for you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, actually, Harry, I found that the Smithfield extra meaty baby back ribs are really great. I mean, there's a lot more meat on them than a regular baby back.
Okay.
A little bit more fat, but you can render down the fat.
You bring up a good point, Tom, because the episode that I'm shooting actually coming up is doing a throwdown, because it's no secret that the Smithfield extra tenders has been doing well on the comp circuit. So the intel I'm getting from my friends who are competitors is that they're using the Smithfield extra tenders. So you really don't have to go out and spend, $110 with compact Durox to cook competition now, because they're using Smithfield extra tender. So what I did was I went out and I bought all the extra tenders I could find from different companies. So I have actually 3 slabs of extra tenders in my fridge now. So I'm going to be shooting an episode probably tomorrow on doing my kind of shakedown on all the extra tenders, and then sharing with my Patreons the kind of the results. I have to kind of get everything done. I'm heading to Mexico, I think on Thursday. I'm going out to be teaching in Monterrey, Mexico. So doing a barbecue class there. And the highlight for me is the class, but also the highlight is my host, Sebastian, who is my student that I met at the Masterclass I taught in Chicago for Weber. He is going to take me on a taco tour. So have you guys been on a taco tour like in Mexico? That was on my bucket list. So I figured, hey, if I have a local person in Monterrey willing to let me try all the different tacos in the different provinces, You sign me up. He had me at taco. Okay, any questions before I kind of jump on and kind of get the first piece of the cooking class going? Cool.
I would like to answer. Can I ask one quick one?
Yep.
Tell me if you ever do this. I had for instance, after I wrap my ribs and I had the meat side down, got to the point where the meat started, like with the bamboo skewer, like you're talking, just get to that point. That after I had pulled them off, that the underside got a little tough, like, kind of maybe too crispy. Do you ever flip those over, like in the middle of the wrap?
Yes. So in the wrap, you don't. So if it's crispy, that means that you overdid it during the cooking stage. Oh, okay. You basically had too much heat, or your draft is off. The draft is the convective airflow. So if you have a draft that is going on too much, it's not going to work. So you want to cook your meat based on the characteristic of your pit. Now you guys have seen me, tell you how to check your pit, right, for hot spots. So if you have it too crispy, some parts are too hot, you just need to rotate your meat. Either you put it on a spot where the airflow is even, or you kind of rotate your meat or rotate your grates as you cook. It just takes a little bit of practice to find out where the sweet spots are on your pit. And it's just a matter of trial and error. So I would suggest you just try to find the places on your pit where the airflow is even. If it's getting too crispy on the bottom, it's okay to flip. I don't have an issue to flip so that you can, get the other side done. The other thing also you want to do is maybe lower your temperature a little bit. Maybe drop another 25 degrees and see how the cook goes. The pit also behaves differently depending on how much meat is in it. So if you have a lot of meat in it, it will cook very differently than one rib pot. Okay. All right. So let me show you guys what we can do, because I'm gonna put this in a pit now, and this is going to be the glaze. So we're gonna make a smoked glaze. So first things first, you're gonna make a peach glaze. So very easy. I kind of use some of this product here from Walmart. This is a peach what do you call this? Peach cocktail. Clean peach, yellow clean peach. So I blended it, and I'm gonna put it into a bowl like so. This is the peach from here, and I'm gonna put some into a bowl. I'm gonna smoke the glaze first. So the peach cocktail. To bump up the peach flavor, I have a little bit of peach extract, kind of like your vanilla extract, but they make it for peaches. So you can buy this from like a Whole Foods store, or I bought this from Amazon. It's like $10, $11. So it's a little goes a long way. It's kind of like vanilla essence. So just a tad, just a drop or two, maybe about 1 teaspoon, a half teaspoon, depending on how strong this particular one is. This is the brand I'm using. If you guys like, I can kind of send you the link that I got on Amazon. Then we add a little bit of barbecue sauce. I'm going to use my cheeky sweet here. And the ratio I like is about maybe 20% sauce and 80% of peach glaze. And I like to add a little bit of heat. So heat, I use my Slap Your Daddy Hot Burn. So the Hot Burn recently just won the 2023 Scobie Award. It won 2nd overall USA. So this is a really, really good sauce. What is unique about my hot sauce is that it has 4 flavors. Flavor first for 4 seconds, then gives you a burn, and then it gives you a numb and gives you a fade. So I'm gonna add a little bit of hot sauce here, just to kind of warm things up. So just a regular barbecue sauce, and then add some hot sauce. Just a little bit here. Maybe about 5% hot sauce, depending on how hot you want it. And of course, you got to add your tea. Add my tea. I made some strong tea. So whatever brand of tea you like, you can go ahead and make your tea. Put some tea here and mix it up. And we're going to smoke this now. Just to keep it easy, I'm going to use a GMG. And I'm going to put it on a hot spot. So on a GMG, the hot part is here. The sweet spot is here. I'm going to smoke it on this side here. And these are the ones that we're going to be using momentarily. Just double checking it, make sure it's okay. All right, cool. So we're going to smoke the sauce while we do the rest. All right, any questions so far? Sure, go ahead.
How hard is it to clean the glassware that you're smoking the
yeah,
glaze in?
it's hopeless. I told Jason, who's the owner of Green Mountain Grill, that that glass door is pretty much useless. So I don't even bother to clean it because I really don't look through the screen to look at the food. I just open the lid. So trust me, the glass door on a pit, in my opinion, is not a good idea.
No, I was referring to the glass bowl.
Oh, the glass bowl. Oh, I'm
Glass
sorry.
bowl.
Yeah, cleaning that.
Okay.
I've used glass in the past, but I could not get it that clean.
No, I have a lot of glass, so I'm not so concerned. So I thought you were asking me about the glass, what do you call a glass window on the GMG, but on a glass bowl, I haven't had any problem. Anyway, besides, I'm a pitmaster, so a little bit of smoke on my glass, I don't think anybody complains.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the part one. Part one is how to convert a spare rib into a St. Louis. Give you guys a quick demo here. So just to recap, when you have a spare rib, which is like this one here, so the spare rib comes from the chest of the hog, and there's the sternum. So the sternum is this piece here. So on this particular piece, this is sitting on the left side of a hog, like this. So if you can see the camera here, so that's sitting on the left side. The piece that's connected is called the loin back. It's from the back. So this is the kind of like the front of the hog, like that. So here's the sternum. So the very first thing you want to do is you want to trim off this flap. This is called the diaphragm. And on a cow, this is where your fajita comes from. So I'm going to trim this part off. So step number one, trim off the flap. So and you can save this to make tacos. It makes great tacos. And also it makes on a cow, this is fajita, and on a pig, you can smoke this and then chop it up and make some street tacos. Really good stuff. And or you can just save it for pork stuff. So we set this aside. The second thing you want to do is you want to trim off something called the sternum. The sternum is that bone here. You see this big bone here. So this big bone comes off. Trim the big bone. Take my knife, insert it, trim it. Okay, the sternum comes off like so. So now I have the St. Louis with the rib tip on. So let's sever the rib tip down. So the rib tip is this top piece here. And you can cut it off multiple ways. The easiest way I found to cut it off is to locate bone number 4. All right, so if you see here, bone number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Bone number 4 is the longest bone. I'm going to insert my knife right at the end of the bone right here. Okay, I'm going to make a parallel cut going this way and this way to sever the bone. And let me put it down here so you can see. I'm going to sever the bone number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And a hog has 13 bones. So let me count the bones. This one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it's got 13 bones. Cut this piece off. So I'm going to go run a parallel line here like so and cut this part off. And that will sever the rib tip nicely. Okay, like so. And we end up with basically a long St. Louis. I like to trim off these parts here because they're very thin. And if we cook this part perfectly, this part will burn. So I cook it separately. Trim it off now. And I'm going to pick about right here. It's good. Trim this part off. Like so. So this part comes off. And then what I like to do is usually the first bone has a lot of fat. So this fat is called the insertion point to the pectoralis, aka the false lean. aka the alien flap from the movie Aliens. So that needs to come off. Now you can trim this off. So I'll do both. I'll show you how I do it. So I trim it off like so. Yeah, kind of a sinewy and yucky, and it comes off just like that. Okay. Now, a lot of times this is just too much work because on this bone in competition, I'm never going to use this bone. So in competition, I'll just trim it off like so. Cut the first bone off. And I'm going to get a competition rack like this. And this is usually about 9 bones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Today I have 8 bones on this particular rack here. Okay, so I'm going to line it up, do a reassemble this and show you guys how it looks before I start it. Let's see here, it goes here. This goes here. This goes here. And 6 steps. The false lean. All right, let's see if we can show you guys this. Okay, so here's the spare rib deconstructed, and this is the St. Louis right here. So here's the sternum, the rib tip, the can you hear me, Gang? Are we back?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, so we're gonna pull the membrane. I'm gonna use a paper napkin here and run my finger using the paper napkin like so. And you can see me run my finger and pull the membrane off. So while I'm pulling this out, just to recap, you trim off the sternum, trim off the, you guys can see, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I don't need to hear Harry talk. Harry talks too much, so. All right, let me see here, get everything off here. Seasoning this thing. So I'm gonna start seasoning by putting a bit of a smear. Okay, and I'm gonna apply a few rubs here. So we're gonna do a 3 rub combo. So we're gonna use a peach rub. So I have my peach rub here. And this is the Honeylicious peach rub. I used this for competition in the past, so I finally ended up putting it in a bottle and released it last year. So this is the peach rub we're gonna use. Since the peach smoked peach tea iced tea. I'm gonna add a little bit of my brisket magic for the pepper hit because I like black pepper specks, so I'm a competitor. So we are anal retentive about getting the right amount of pepper specks on our ribs so that it has a kind of a Dalmatian look a little bit. And then I use this product here, which is my flavor bomb. So a lot of my competitor friends, Eric's a good friend of mine. He runs a company called Boar's Night Out. He makes Boar's Night Out like White Lightning. But it's all MSG. So I decided that I won't do MSG. So I built this product here using some ingredients from Asia. I have something in there called kombu, which is seaweed. That's the kind of green stuff you see when you drink your soup in the Japanese restaurant. When the miso soup has that green stuff, that's actually seaweed. So I ground the seaweed and put it in here because the seaweed has a natural flavor enhancer. I also have the katsuobushi, which is the fish flakes that you see on the maki roll when you eat the sushi bar. They're kind of still moving when the server serves you the maki roll. And then it's got some shiokoji, which is a fermented rice, a little bit of shiitake mushrooms in here also. So it's a supercharged bomb. So I'm going to show you guys how I add the 3 ingredients to the meat here. So we start on bone side first. Bone side is seasoned first. So the first layer I'm going to do is add my peach rub. And you want to get it about nice medium layer. Hopefully everybody can see that. Okay, peach rub. And then my Texas brisket magic rub gives you the kind of the black pepper flakes here. You can see here. It's heavy on the black pepper. And I like the flakes on it. This is a really great rub for brisket. I think Tom Klein, I'm just airing a video. I went to visit him. He won his first GC using this thing here. It's the brand new product. It's also released last September here. And a little bit of my umami bomb. Actually, I owe some money, I guess, to Salt Bay, right? I stole his Salt Bay icon. You see my little chicken. My chicken's like Salt Bay, tossing the
please.
rub into the top here. So like a little salt base, and then you just apply a thin layer like that. Okay. And then you pat it down. Because we put the smear of the mustard, it's gonna stick nicely. So flip it over. And then rinse and repeat on the other side. Apply the mustard. Massage, or in England we call it massage. They don't say massage in England, it's called massage. Nice, gives the meat some love. And we go and rinse and repeat. I'm gonna put the first layer is the peach rub. And some of you might be wondering, that looks like a lot of rub. Yeah, it is a lot of rub, because my rubs don't have a lot of salt. They are primarily spices like paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, and so on. So I design my rub with more flavor rather than just salt. A lot of the commercial rubs out there, they just put a lot of salt in it. Salt's very cheap, so it's not an expensive component to put. So that's why they use a lot of it. Brisket magic for the pepper hit, and also to get the beautiful black flecks. How much black flecks on it is something that we stress over as competitors. So we like to make sure that we get the perfect amount of black little specks on our meat, and then the umami bomb for that extra charge of flavor with the fish flakes and the shiitake and the mushrooms and the seaweed. Okay, that's it. And let it pat down. Now, ordinarily, for my cooked ribs, I like to let this sit for a while. Usually in competition, 90 minutes. But if you're at home, you can just cook it right away, no problem. So any questions on rib trim? Any questions on seasoning the rib? Cool, let's get it in the pit now. Okay, balancing act. Here we go. Okay, let's see if I can move this around. So here's the sauce that we are, the glaze that we are working on, and look at how beautiful it is, the color. Set this thing down here. So we're going to cook this at around 275, 250 until the crust sets. So let me get another glove, and I'll get the one out there where the crust has set. And where I want that, I already set the crust. So this went in about I don't know, 6 a.m. ish. When 6 a.m. So it took about 2.5 hours to crust. So this one here has crusted. So this will become like that in about 3 hours, or depending on your pit. And we're gonna lift it up now. And it's hot. Set it down here. So here's the rack. And how do I know that it's ready for the next phase? Is we do what we call Harry's scratch test, right? So if you take the finger and you scratch the meat, you notice that the rub doesn't come off. Compared to the one that's wet I just put in, this is about 3 hours later. And we have a few things that we need to do now. So the first thing you want to do is you look at your rib, and I don't know if the lighting is bad, but you can see how bumpy it is here. You see that this part here? Let me see here. Let me see, lift it up here. So you guys some competition tips here. You see here? See this, how bumpy this part is? Mm-hmm. I don't like that. So we are going to use the scissors, and we're going to do a little bit of a haircut to the rib. So let me see if I can do a haircut here. See this part here? See this piece here? Can you guys see on the camera? See this piece here?
Yep.
Okay, that comes off. I don't like this part here. And it's not looking good. Now, obviously, you don't need to do this at home for your family, but I'm pretty anal retentive, so I try to make every rib perfect. And then I'm going to shave off a little bit here. Okay. All right, like so. And if this was just a regular rib cooking for family, I wouldn't bother to do this, but I'm showing you kind of some of the steps that we do when we are competitors. So the next thing you want to do is clean up the bone. If it's a contest, and you can see that there's blood on the bone here, right here. So what we do is in a competition, or if I'm trying to impress my my friends and family, I'll clean off the bone like so. So you can scrape the blood off. So, and if you're rolling your eyeballs up, wondering why Harry is doing this, because when we turn in the entry to the judges, if there's bone here, there's blood on the bone, there's a chance that the judge will rate you down. For example, like you can see there's a bone, there's a blood here. I'm gonna clean it off. So, and blood here, clean it off. Okay, any questions about what I'm doing? Cool. All right, next thing I want to do is show you guys what we do in competition. We sort of just make sure that we push the meat down. So when you see my final product here, and you notice how the bone retracts beautifully, that's a little trick here we do is there's a membrane that's covering the bone, these bones here. So what we do is we push down like that. So we kind of retract it about 1/2 inch. So now this is completely optional. Obviously, you don't do this if you are gonna just feed your family, but if you're doing a competition, you do this. If you're cooking for a crowd and you're doing 100 racks of ribs, this is not a recommended step to spend time doing. So it's not gonna make a difference, but for competition, it makes a difference because we want the rib to look really, really good. So you can see me squeezing it down. So and you'll retract properly. All right, so put it on this side. I'm making it look good.
Yeah, I thought you did that before they went on the in the smoker. So I'm glad you're showing it's done.
Yeah. So what happens is the membrane won't pull away. See how beautiful it is until the meat is cooked.
Makes sense.
So the meat is pretty cooked. When it's raw, it won't work. So we got to do this when it's cooked. And I'm just gonna finish cleaning up the bones. And this rack looks pretty good and ready to go. Let me finish kind of cleaning up the thing here. Right, and then I'm gonna use my scissors and do some trimming. And there's a big pocket of fat here. I'm gonna trim it down so that I can get a nice even rib here. Looks pretty even now. A little hot spot, a little high spot here. Trim out the high spot here. Trim out this piece here. And you obviously, again, I want to emphasize you don't need to do this when you're cooking for your family. But if you're OCD like me, this is good for OCD people to do. All right, so that's kind of how the rib looks there. Any question about getting the rib ready before we put the product on to wrap? Okay, cool. Let me get a piece of foil now and show you how we wrap these ribs. Okay. And we begin the wrapping process, meat side up first. And we'll put a few different products on it. What do we have here? We have brown sugar. And I like light brown sugar. We have some peach nectar. Today, no peach. Today is gonna be a strawberry banana nectar. A little bit of honey. You can also use agave. A little bit of, I can't believe it's not butter. A touch of cayenne pepper for heat, and some butter. And let's see if we can show you guys how this works here. Okay, first layer is some brown sugar. Now, of course, you can put brown sugar this way, but it's very uneven. So a trick is we use a 8-cup flour sifter. Show you guys what we do now. Put the brown sugar in here. And put the brown sugar on. So it's nice and even. And how much brown sugar is up to you, but it's going to be a pretty heavy application because this is sort of a contest flavor profile. And a little bit of honey, drizzle the honey on. So honey on. And try not to overdo the honey because you don't need too much, just a little bit of honey. A little bit of spray. And this gives it a nice butter flavor. A little bit of nectar, maybe a one teaspoon-ish. And just a dusting of cayenne. Just a light dusting. And then some butter. And this is Kerrygold Irish butter, unsalted. Now, do you need all these items? The answer is no. You can get away with just putting on some honey and some liquid and then wrapping it. So flip it over now. I'm going to repeat on the other side. Brown sugar, honey. Butter spray. Try not to spray onto my phone. Okay. A little bit of peach nectar. Okay. Cayenne pepper. More butter. Okay, and we're going to do a burrito wrap now. So we'll take this side, wrap over this side. Okay, and this now can go into the oven, or you can go back into the pit. We'll just throw in the pit now. And through the magic of Hollywood, it's ready. All right, let me bring this over. Little smokiness going on here. And voila.
So you've already toothpicked it, right, Harry?
I'm going to show you right now how to do that. Ta-da. Sauce is ready. Ooh, the sauce looks really good. Look at that. Beautiful. It's like almost like a golden amber color. Give you a taste test here. Wow. I wish you were here. Okay. Let's show you guys how we check for tenderness. And you can use many tools. I'll show you guys at least four methods for checking tenderness. So the ribs are ready. And let me open it up. So it's going to take, after the boil phase, another hour to 2 hours, depending on kind of how you set it up. So drum roll, please. Ta-da! Add the sound effects later in the editing phase. So here's the bone, here's the rib. So what you notice is a little bit of blowout here, and that's okay. And hopefully everything is nice and tender. So the first way of checking your ribs is what we call do the bend test. So you pick up the foil pouch, right? And you put your hand under, and you can feel the softness of the rib. So that's the first step. So you can, if you are a pitmaster, you're cooking 80 slabs of ribs, you don't have time to poke everyone. You just pick up the foil pouch and then you kind of lift it up, and you see how this is bending. I hope you can see that it's bending. So this is called the bend test. So that's step number 1. The second one that you can do is what I call the pitmaster squeeze test. So as a pitmaster, I go and take my fingers and I squeeze between the bone here like that. So you see that? I'm squeezing it, gently pinching it between the meat between the bones, and that tells me it's ready. So that's the second test. The third test is using the bamboo skewer. And okay, what happened to my bamboo skewer here? You can use a bamboo skewer, and then you can poke it between the bone like so. That, see? And if it feels like it's soft, it's ready to go. Not all the entire rack will tenderize the same. For example, like this will be over tender because it's too thin. This will be a little bit less tender because it's too thick. So because I'm a competitor, I'm interested in bone number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the area where I'm going to be poking, and that's pretty good. So that's the third technique. The fourth technique is using the back of a plastic fork. So you notice that this is kind of like your tooth. And if you poke it this way, it's like your teeth are biting into the rib. So you're going to take this and you're going to probe it between the bone like that, right? So it's pretty soft. So you see that right there? So I'm cooking this to competition tenderness, which is not very tender, so that when you bite the rib, you should be able to see your teeth marks in the bite. The liquid on the bone should dry out within about 2-3 seconds. So that's a kind of a competition level. So you can see here, I'm testing it. It's pretty good. Let's go ahead and take it out and cut it up. Any questions so far? What I'm doing? All right, cool.
What was the temperature of the pit, Harry?
On this particular GMG, I find that 250 works really well because the 250 is kind of like 275 on my normal pit because it has a very high airflow. Let's see here, you can see that. I don't know if the color is coming out well. But that's the color you want, like a mahogany color. So the rub that I blended is optimized for competition. So that's kind of a sort of a competition color that I'm looking for. So we're gonna glaze the rib now. And I'm gonna mix up the glaze and apply the glaze. And you can do this on the pit because I would set this in the pit for about 5 minutes and let the glaze set and probably get a couple of layers of glaze on it. Pick it up now, flip it over, do the other side, the back side. So I'm gonna skip the step about putting it back into the pit for another 5 minutes. So we just go ahead and glaze it. And I'm gonna cut it up and do a taste test now. And at this point in time, you can do some final seasonings. For example, you can apply a little bit more cayenne, a little bit more rub, but I'm going to take a bite of it now. Wish you were here. Wonderful, peachy smell. All right, so you can see what a gorgeous color it is. Just a little bit of a smoke ring on the side.
Wow.
And this is a pretty decent looking rib that you can see. And it's a nice glaze. You notice how the smoked peach tea glaze. Let me apply a little bit more glaze. And how gorgeous the color is. See that shine. I don't know, Cadillac finish. Is it proper to say Cadillac finish now? I did myself say Cadillac finish. It should be a Mercedes or Range Rover finish. All right. So now, for the moment of truth, since you can't be here, I have to eat it on your behalf. Let's see if I can do that here. All right, here we go. All right, one bite of a smoked peach tea rib. That's delicious. So it's sweet, salty, smoky, hint of peaches, and you can see that there's liquid on the bone, and the liquid on the bone will dry out in a couple of seconds. But not falling off the bone tender, but pretty much a bite through tender. You can see my teeth marks on it. It's pretty good rib. All right, so so good. I'm gonna have to take another bite. Wow, that is a decent tasting rib. Let me tell you what we did. We trimmed the rib. We applied the schmear. We got 3 rubs on the ribs, the peach, the Texas brisket magic, and I should point out how the color looks. So you can see, right? There's I don't know if you can see the camera, but there's flecks of black flecks here. Let me see if I can get it up in the light here. Let's see here. All right. Probably the lighting is bad, but the amount of pepper on the rib is very important. So I'm OCD about getting the right. Let me see if I can get the right color. Maybe like that. Okay. So you can see black flecks, right? So that is how I want the rib to look. That gorgeous glaze color, like a automotive shine, and get that black specks on it. And then the flavor has got to be absolutely well balanced. This peach glaze has a little bit of a tartness to it and a little sweetness because I added my my Carolina vinegar sauce with it and a Carolina style tangy, and then I added the hot burn with it. So it's got a nice amount of heat. And then of course the dusting of the cayenne pepper during the wrap phase, that really kind of elevates the flavor because you're adding a few more layers of flavor. So that's sort of another summary of how the ribs are done. So any questions?
Your seasoning seems kind of hot.
The seasoning seems kind of hot, spicy, you mean?
Spicy, yes.
Yeah, some of them are because again, I enjoy spicy flavors. I find that the spicy flavors wake up the food. That may be a little bit spicy for some people. So I always tell them, if you think it's too spicy, you can get something like my Santa Maria rub. You can get my SCA steak rub. You can get my brisket magic rub. Those are not spicy at all.
But what I'm saying is this recipe, this competition recipe that you just showed us seems highly spicy to me because you're using cayenne pepper. And
honestly, the it's not really very spicy.
No?
It seems spicy. Again, what I'm showing you is what I do to win a contest, and because I show you in a kind of layers and layer, you can actually modify any way you want, and then cook to your preference. If you don't want to, and you don't want to add any cayenne pepper, that's fine too. If you don't want to add the hot burn into the sauce, that's also fine. But it's all about learning how to kind of create the technique and how you want to create the flavors that you like. And that's kind of the key. But this is a pretty decent tasting rib. I just came back from teaching a class in Bakersfield for the police department. It was a fun class because we used a mock barbecue contest to teach them team building skills. So it's a pretty cool class. All right, with no more questions, if you guys like these kinds of virtual cooking class, let me know. I have 800 recipes, and you know, I could probably teach a different recipe every day and not run out for 3 or 4 years. So I really love cooking, and I guess you guys know that if you follow me on social media, I've been starting a curry channel. I've been starting a vegan channel, and I'm starting a wok channel. So barbecue is my passion, but I also have other foods that I enjoy making. And if you guys like wok cooking, you like vegan cooking, and you like curries, watch my channel for more content to explore some of those topics because I think it's a lot of fun, you know. And as always, you know, I really thank you guys for being my patrons, because without your support, I wouldn't be able to do this and go out and spread barbecue love into the world. So I want to thank you guys all from the bottom of my heart.